back to the show. What if I could tell you the secret to scaling your MSP wasn't more hustle, that it was just simply a mind shift change, that you don't have to burn out chasing growth or carry every burden yourself. Like today, you're going to learn how Keith Barthold, founder of DKBInnovative, built a purpose-driven MSP focusing on culture, strategic delegation, and developing leaders from within, transforming both his business and his life. This is episode 5 of the Founder's Journey, and it is my pleasure to have on my good boy and friend, Keith Barthold. Keith,
what's up?
Welcome, brother.
Thanks, man. Oh, that was super formal. I feel like, it was epic. You got me all fired up, man.
Well, I think it was the new intro music.
It was.
Going to try and work that in. We'll see if I get banned for some copyright infringement or something like that. But first off, let's talk about where you're sitting, because I know in the comments and the text messages and the emails, we had Trent Peters on. He was doing something cool, and they were wondering why he was in a beanie. They're going to want to know where you're at. So give us a little overview on what's shaking today.
So I actually have a hanger behind me that I put in my backyard. So
a hanger. Okay.
Yeah, a hanger.
Cool.
So 2 weeks ago, I registered my airstrip behind my house as a airport. So I've built an airport, and this thing kind of started as a garage, and then it just became like a full-size hangar with living quarters, and I'm sitting in what'll be my son's future music studio. So,
dude, all right, man. So
just having fun.
Built a hangar. Now, since it's a registered airport, can other people land on your airport?
I mean, they could, yeah. So what I'm going to do is just mark it as private, and I'll just list that there's like a $5,000 landing fee. So come on in.
You're north of Dallas, right? So
yeah,
anybody out in that area, we'll get our boy Troy.
I mean, right now you're going to be like threading the goalposts because I got probably a couple of years worth of chainsaw running to do. But if you want to land in it, good luck. I mean,
awesome. Well, dude, hey, thanks for jumping on today. I've known you for a long time. Super, super happy and excited to have you here and get an opportunity to chat for a little bit. One of the cool things, like I had a front row seat to your journey. I know it all. And, there's tons of behind the scenes things that I get privy to, but, this is one of those fun stories that every MSP owner should know, right? Like when you're in the trenches, you're fighting the good fight. Like you got to know that this stuff is possible, and it doesn't take the amount of effort that everybody thinks in order to really hit that level of success. So super stoked to have you. Let's start off at the very beginning. Like you started an MSP, like why?
Yeah.
What inspired you to get going?
Yeah, so it was wild. I had about a decade career at Perot Systems. We were acquired by Dell. My role was physician office rollouts and was leading medical records transformation. So had a lot going on. Somebody was crazy enough back then as like a 26-year-old to give me a $20 million P&L to manage, which was just insane. But, at some point in my journey there, my brother got laid off. He was in college. He was working a part-time tech job. And I was like, oh, let's spin up some clients. Let's sell some block time. I'll help you get a part-time job, right? And so I've been, we were acquired by Dell, was in their executive program, and that just sort of got destroyed, having been mentored by Ross Perot. And, culture just changed. I started losing freedom and autonomy. And I thought, the best way to freedom would be to start my own company where you report to the employees, you report to the government, and absolute lack of freedom, but at least there was autonomy. So I went to SNISFest number 2. I think I met you there,
SNISFest
Kevin.
number 2.
Yeah.
And SNISFest 2? Yeah, I was dedefinitely there, man. But I think you were all about, 2012, you were what, 14?
Yeah, something like that. No, so I was there, and man, it'd been a rough year of just really praying that the Lord would light a path for me and make a career change. And it was like a surprise, baby number 4. And yeah, it took us a while to figure out how that happened, but I remembered.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you got that figured out.
But yeah, I was on paternity leave, and I met Gary Pika at Schnips Fest, and was like, "Yeah, I'm on paternity leave. I'm thinking about quitting my job and starting an MSP." And he's like, "Yeah, you should do it. It'll be fun." And then 6 months later, I call him and I'm like, "Hey, I quit my job. I'm doing this." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, that was just talk at the bar."
I was just joking. That was a horrible idea.
And I'm like, "Well, here we are. You got to help me get through this." And so he just became a great friend and mentor, and yeah, kicked it off. I met William, who became a 10% business partner, helped me through that journey, and helped negotiate me out of Dell. I was fortunate enough to be in a spot where I was doing some cool stuff with IT, and I found a way just to do things better with proactive alignment standards. And when I met Gary, I was like, "Oh, this guy's got the same idea." And met you, and I was like, "Oh, there's other people that are doing it this way." And so I decided that's what we do. And I just happened to be in this huge deal at Dell. I was a key man, and so when I resigned, they were like, "No, you can't quit. You got to answer your phone if we call you." And I'm like, "No, you don't." And they're like, "We'll keep you on payroll." So they kept me on payroll for like 4 months.
Yeah, just to make sure that you would answer their phone calls.
Yeah, just to answer the phone. And so it allowed me to get things started off right, sell hard, and not go into debt trying to start the business.
Yeah, I'm sure your wife and the 4 babies were super appreciative of a guaranteed paycheck for a few months.
Yeah.
While you went on this venture of, hey, I'm going to start this IT consulting company and I'm going to sell block time.
Yeah, exactly.
What could go wrong? Right?
Yeah, what could go wrong? Yeah, it was, looking back, it was just wild.
So looking, in the early days, right? Like we all faced a bunch of challenges. Mine, I would say, were not unique. What were some of the things that you faced early on when you were trying to build this?
Man, Kevin, I think just being clueless. I think Trent and he said the same thing, right? Just being naive and full of fight, but not knowing what in the world I was doing. And honestly, I feel like it was kind of that way throughout the journey. It was like I wake up in the morning and go, "Well, I've never been the CEO of $1 million company. I guess we'll fake it till we make it, and we'll figure it out." And then it was like the next day, "We'll figure it out. And so it was like, I'm the CEO of a $13 million MSP. Every day's a new day. We're figuring it out. But I think that realization and just that self-awareness, somewhere in there, I was wise enough to surround myself with really good, great people, coaches, peer group, and then, just that sense of adventure to go, "I'm going to get in there and I'm going to figure it out." And I mean, that continues today. With Trent, he put me in a race car on the track, and I'm like, "Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to have a coach beside me, and I'm going to figure this out." And that's what I did. So it's just a wild spirit of adventure, I guess. It was a challenge.
That's awesome. I totally appreciate you sending all the videos while you and Trent are out racing. And I love the way you guys started with almost like a slick track drift car,
skid pad,
golf cart. Yeah, on that little pad. And then you guys definitely progressed out of that.
For sure.
You said that you were, $1 million MSP and you weren't really qualified to run a $1 million company. But then about 2 seconds later, you said, "Hey, now I got this, $13 million MSP."
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you really had to work on in order to scale to get from 1 million to 13 million? And I talked to a lot of MSPs. It's a big jump. 2, not a lot of MSPs really get past that 5 million mark, much less 10 or 13.
Yeah. Man, I think I've been fortunate enough that I've always been on the correct side of the Dunning-Kruger scale to go like, I don't know what I'm doing and I suck at this, but dude, I'm so competitive and I'm my own best critic or worst critic, I guess. And so it's like that realization that if this company is going to continue growing, I got to grow with it. And so every morning just going, I got to get 1% better. I got to figure out how to do this. And I would just tenaciously pursue that. So, and that's my zone of genius, I guess.
Yeah.
In the work, those 6 working geniuses is tenacity. It's just to be ultra competitive, realize what you're not good at, and get in there and get better every day. And so, man, that was a big contributor to my success. And then with that, like building on that, like the biggest thing that launched us was surrounding myself with great people. And that's totally unoriginal answer is the peer group, right? Like I know that's what everybody has said is
like I haven't had a single person on here talking, about their journey that hasn't mentioned peer, right?
Oh.
So
yeah, if I had to name like
if only there was this group of like other MSP owners that could commiserate but also be in the trenches with you to help prop you up. Only if that existed and everybody could do that, right? Yeah. So my story with that, I mean, it was as soon as I got into True Methods and we started growing, it was like, all right, I got to get in the peer group. Winter Circle popped up and Gary was like, yeah, you just need like 30K MRR. And then it was like, you just need 50K MRR. I'm like, I'm ready, Gary. And he's like, you'll be ready when you get to 75K MRR. Gary, come on, let me. What? Are you saying Gary Pica moved the goalpost on you?
No, not at all. But yeah, we jumped around and I ended up, I went through 3 different peer groups. And the second peer group really hit it off with the guys at Umbrella. And we got really competitive. We ended up they had a client that created wrestling belts. And we started setting an MRR goal and we were competing against each other for sales. And then, of course,
that's awesome.
Met you recruited me into your group and brought Umbrella along and we just continued competing and having fun. I remember during COVID, we had the remote meetings and I was like, forget this. I got a small plane. Kansas City's not that far away. And so I just fly out there and hang out with them. And we just did our meetings together. And it was just fun. Got real close. And the peer group just gave us the accountability and pushed us upwards.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember when I was trying to grab you for the group, you and I had been around each other long enough. I'd had that outside perspective of watching you grow and just seeing this. You said it, tenacious, right? Like the tenacity of Keith, and just nothing was going to stop you. And I'm like, you know what? This dude would be really, really good inside of our peer group. We were definitely larger at the time. And I knew that the people that were inside that group could help kind of foster that growth and momentum and maybe a little bit more discipline and structure that you really needed. But then you said, hey, I'll come in, but you also have to grab these guys. I was like, man, all right. Like, are you going to vouch for them, Keith? Like, you're really good. I want you in the group, but man, Keith and Trent, really? Yeah, but those dudes turned out to be nothing short of amazing themselves. So,
well, you totally used that tenacity, Kevin. Like you used it with me. Just the first meeting, I was like, "Hey, I'm on a ski trip. I'm at Vail. I can't make this meeting." And you're texting me, and you're like, "Oh, I see what your level of commitment is." I'm like, "Who is this guy?" So I showed up, and I'm in Blue Sky Basin and goggles and a jacket, and I'm like, you wanted me, here I am, I'm on my snowboard, but I'm in the meeting, whatever it takes, right?
What's amazing is, like, you look at the peer group, everybody inside of that group, nobody's in a paid position, right? Much less me as the captain of the group. Like, I'm in charge of trying to wrangle in a whole bunch of, type A CEOs, and then I've got Keith new to the group, and he shows up on his snowboard, like...
It was your fault.
Apparently, man. So let's kind of get away from Pierre just for a moment. Like when you look at the organization, what type of structure, did you have to start putting in place a little bit early on before you started growing and scaling that really allowed you and DKB to be able to take that next step?
Yeah, I mean, key steps for building a great leadership team. I go back to what I was saying, is surround yourself by great people. And part of that is having a leadership team that can fight all the fights, pull all the levers within the company, because there's so much going on, especially operations, because CEO has to just have like fanatical discipline around sales. And if you aren't given that focus, you're not going to grow. And the only way you get that focus is to have a great leadership to take operations and really handle the day-to-day and execution of the strategy and vision that the CEO makes up. So that was really key, is rallying that together. And with that, coaching as well, because you can't get your leadership team to the next level if you don't have coaching around scaling up, traction, things like that. We met Tony Williams, just like Umbrella did, and I think they said they had a 35-page manual that said how bad they sucked. I think mine was 48 pages. And
overachiever, sucked a little bit more.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, you suck more. And so just like rallying the team behind that and getting Doug Diamond involved, so that we have a blueprint, we have a plan, and we're getting everybody rolling in the same direction, and just the leadership team behind your vision, like that was key, and that allowed us just to set apart. Like we took this Chick-fil-A of IT services approach, so this like fanatical client experience, and the leadership team just embraced it, and we took off with it. So it really contributes to our growth.
No, it's huge. And, you mentioned a couple people, Doug Diamond, Tony Williams, and it's amazing. Like you look at the stories of the successful MSPs that have transitioned, right? We had Trent Peters on, we had his partner Heath on, a couple shows also that are coming out. We Miles Keogh from Spade Technology. We got Tyler Sanders from Pace Technical, and then you. And you look at some of the commonality. Like one, it's peer. Two, it's like just the ultimate discipline from the CEO at the right times. But it's also this willingness to sit back and learn and listen from somebody else, right? And it just so happens to be that the same couple names keep coming up, Tony Williams and Doug Diamond. So, that experience for you, I'm sure it was like with other people. It was transformative, right?
Yeah, big time.
Kind of changing gears, like at some point you had to figure out how to sell, right? Like, you're really good at tech support, building out your leadership team, but in order to grow, like you got to have new clients. So let's help people understand, what did that look like for you, and what were the things that worked for you?
Yeah, so for me, it just really bothered me when I couldn't get it right. And I don't come from a sales background, and I think we got to probably the 3 million mark, maybe to 4 million crawl, and it felt like a crawl, and it was one step forward, two steps back, and
tons of referrals.
But there's one point where it was just like, I'm so pissed right now, and I call Gary. I remember calling Gary on his cell phone, and I'm like, dude, I'm at the end of my rope. At this rate, we're just going to shrink and die, because I can't figure out how to sell. And I'm looking for empathy is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And, and why I call Gary for empathy.
Did you look to see who you were talking to?
Yeah. That didn't really work out, because I was like, I suck at this, Gary. And Gary's like, yeah, you really do. But he's like, you know what? Sometimes like you just got to get pissed and yell at the top of your lungs, like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. and that's exactly what I did. And so after that, I talked to Jim Mullins, looking for some sales consulting, looking for some help. And then I remember I just got pissed and I started studying the stuff. I just was memorizing what Gary was doing on all of the content. I mean, I was memorizing his jokes, and I was like, Michelle, my ISR was like, dude, you even tell the same jokes. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm obsessed with this. But, you know, I came back, and it was like 2 months later, Jim sees me at peer group meeting, Winter Circle, and he was like, oh, you still need that help? And I'm like, actually, Jim, I just closed 50K of MRR in the past 2 months. Like, I just got really mad, and then I figured it out, and then boom, like I crossed a hurdle, and it just kept going. So I think having that obsession over sales and realizing that to get a great sales engine going is the only way to move this business forward, and it's the best thing that I can do for my team to grow and give them opportunity. Man, that was huge. And then the thing that was huge was just getting a great sales team. I mean, so Michelle was like my 7th ISR. I screwed that up and just could not find the right person. And I'll never forget her interview.
Well, hold on a second. Let's not say that you screwed it up, right? Because that's a little bit too demeaning, right?
Yeah.
You had a 6-pack of ISRs, right? And they were delicious.
Yeah.
And the 7th was the best.
Dang. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna get this right. I'll tell you, when I interviewed Michelle, at that point I just studied so much sales content, and I took a page out of The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes.
Oh, yeah, and Chet Holmes. That's one of the sales Bibles right there.
Yeah, man. The interview. So we did this like role play. I'm calling her, and she called me, and she's trying to set up an appointment. She's calling me as the CEO, and like the first time I just hung up on her, and then I didn't answer, and I made her just stalk me for like 2 days straight, right? And she was just like, I had missed calls. She was leaving voice messages, all this, and then I call her like at 8 o'clock on a Friday, and she's like got groceries in her hand or something. And I'm
8
like,
o'clock at night or in the morning?
Oh, at night.
Nice.
And I'm like,
Perfect.
Michelle, here's the deal. Like, this role play has been fun, but you just don't seem like rock star material to me. And I'm looking for a rock star. And then I waited, and she came back and respectfully told me I was 100% wrong.
Oh, man.
Told me otherwise. And I was like, that's the tenacity I'm looking for. You start Monday.
Dude, great story. You want to hear something awesome?
What's that?
Mike Rogers.
Yeah.
My homie, right?
Yeah, your guy.
Like the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Rogers. I did the same exact move on him during his interview.
No kidding.
And I've never heard anybody else ever in my lifetime ever say that they did that. And
that's hilarious.
Look at the results of that. Mike is still a machine and like sells more MRR still to this day than any other person in the history of MSP sales. But you use the same thing, and you got yourself a rock star in Michelle.
It was amazing.
Was so funny.
And I'll tell you, when she started too, I said, here's the deal, Michelle. I'm going to be a better salesperson than you. I'll be a better ISR because I'm that competitive, and I'm going to learn it. But I knew that like you can't coach a person if you don't have expertise in that craft. And so I said, but the thing is, it's going to be a full-time job for you. You're going to be really, really good, really fast. And that's what she did. Man, there were so many times that, like, I got really lucky one time. She was like, this job's impossible. I can't do this. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to make some dials. Kid you not, the 5th dial, I have a conversation. I set an FTA. And she's like, well, I guess I'm going back to my desk and trying harder, you know?
Yep. Oh, that was awesome.
And so we had a lot of fun with it, and she became so much better at it. Eventually became outside sales. And I'll tell you, some of the funnest times in business was walking into the office with a golf check, with a, fat 5-figure commission, like buy a car type golf checks, and going, this is like the coolest to be able to present this in front of the whole office, because she becomes such an amazing salesperson.
Wow, that's crazy. So you would deliver commission checks in front of the entire office?
Yeah. Well, when they were like that, when they were huge, and it was just like, dude, she earned it, because everybody saw her journey and just the tenacity and discipline she brought to it. And I'm like, I just want everybody to see this is rewarded. And sales became just such an important part of the business, and an important part of the business for exiting. When we're in due diligence and we're halfway through the year, and they look down and go, okay, you've sold over 50K at 315 all-in seat price, average all-in seat price for the year. That was the due diligence conversation. So
yeah,
you're like, whoa, that's something different. I'm like, yeah, you got to build up to that, but that's where we got to.
That is so crazy to hear, man. Looking, we talked a little bit about sales. Obviously, you're throwing down some monster deals. You said something earlier when we were talking about sales, like you went all in, right? Like you weren't just interested in sales, you went all in. And I think one of the best messages that we can convey to people that listen and watch this segment is, like, you just can't be interested in sales. Like, you have to get outside your comfort zone. You can't be, hey, I'm just the technical person here running this MSP. Like, you got to dive all in. And being interested in sales is going to get you less than interesting results. You were 100% committed. You read some great books. You mentioned The Ultimate Sales Machine is one. I know you've probably read 2 or 3 other ones, Challenger Sale, Sandler Systems. Like you dove all in. Funny, early on when I was doing the same exact thing, I memorized Gary's presentation word for word, and I was doing the same silly jokes that he was doing. And I did this one real role play in Philly, and he looks at me and he says, Kevin, like, you can't be me. Like those jokes, they just don't hit the same way. And I'm all, I know. He's all, listen, man, you're kind of coming off like a jerk. And I'm all, dude, I'm just saying what you're saying. He's all, no, man, you got to be yourself. And so I think starting off like with the imitation of Gary, or imitating somebody that's really good in sales, is great. But then you got to be able to add your own flavor to it, your own spin to it. And that comes after you're a little bit more comfortable. Shifting gears into the operations metrics of the organization, like what are some of the key things that you looked at on a monthly basis? Like you had your leadership team, they were set, they were doing an awesome job. Like, how did you know that you were doing, or you were moving in the right direction, just based on some simple math and numbers that you were looking at?
Yeah, I'll tell you one that I really started embracing much later in the journey that I wish I would have found earlier. It's the rule of 40. So
the rule of 40.
Yeah. So your net profit margin plus your year-over-year growth. So, it's the two should add up to over 40, and it's really hard to get there, especially the further along you are. The bigger you are, then that percentage growth becomes way more difficult to achieve. But yeah, we were, around the time that we exited, we were hitting over 50 on that. So, like a 25% margin, 25% growth, that sort of combo. So, it's important to buyers to see that. And it was just important for me that we're growing and we're growing profitably. You can't grow your way into profit once you get to a point. Like I hear this all the time, like, talking to a $2 to $3 million company, and they're like, single digit profitability. And they're like, yeah, but we're just going to sell this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to be up over 20. And no, you're not.
You never will.
You're not. It's so much harder when you're bigger.
Yeah, and they look at it. They're using the four-letter word of capacity, right?
Yeah.
Do the math on that one, capacity.
Yeah, it's hard. So I
So
think that
being
became
profitable early on was important to you. Like I
very,
sat in your peer
very
group. I
important.
got to see your numbers on a monthly basis and in our quarterly reporting. It's, the profit was always there. The growth is one of those things that once you got that engine cranking, that engine was cranking. Um, for people that are watching this, not really sure about the rule of 40, take a look, understand what your profit margin is, understand what your year over year growth is, add those two up, trying to hit 40 or plus on that. And to Keith's point, super difficult, right? Like you're at 10 million in order to add 20%. That's like 2 million in a year. Like it's not like it is $2 million a year. And how are you gonna continue that momentum, at 20 million, right?
Yeah.
So coming back
Yeah,
into the sales machine, go ahead.
I was going to say another big ops one that I'll say I kind of discovered later on, and I wish I would have embraced more early on, was Net Promoter Score and CSAT, and just being fanatical about that and getting your entire team, starting with the leadership team, but then spreading to the entire team, just getting fanatical about it, because that has a direct impact on client retention. And you can't grow if everything you sell falls right out the bottom.
It's backfill.
Yeah. So client retention is super important. We got really good at having a client success engine, and what it did was when there were any sparks, like a client is less than thrilled with us, then man, I would see the sparks and I would dive in and was just like fanatical. I want to meet with the client. I'm going to face to face. We're just going to put on a full court press to make sure that we turn this client around before it gets worse. And we did that. Like we saved and turned around so many clients because we got really early warning and then got the entire team rallying behind it. And man, client retention is huge. And that's a big area of due diligence that any buyer's going to look at.
Yeah.
And so we put a lot of emphasis on it, and it pays dividends.
Well, I mean, here's the reality of an MSP, right? Like you're running a service-based business. There's so many touches that are happening, across your MSP on a daily, weekly, and a monthly basis, right? Just look at just the sheer volume of service tickets at a $10 million MSP. Every one of those is an opportunity to reinforce excellent customer service, or every one of them is an opportunity to, see some of the chinks in the armor. And you throw on top of that, that's just one delivery area out of 5 or 6 if you've got a good security practice. And so, having your fingers on the pulse, having some sort of early warning system, like you called it, to be able to understand when customers are kind of going a little iffy and maybe a little bump in the middle of the night. But more importantly, like you had a plan, and I saw your plan. I saw the way you did Net Promoter Score. I saw all the work that went into it and all the thought around it. Like you weren't taking that for chance. You were very intentional. You leaned right into it, and you made sure, hey, look, if this is going to be something key for our business, and it has to be in order for us to be successful, then we're going to have all of this process and structure wrapped around it to make sure that we are actually going to achieve what we're looking to. So kudos to you. You mentioned, preparing for sale, a few times. So let's talk about that or unpack that for a minute. What were some of the most challenging aspects, when you were actually preparing for sale? What did that journey look like?
I honestly, like the toughest part was me knowing when I was ready. Like it was the inner struggle. And I know you had a front row seat to see that.
Oh yeah, no, you struggled with that. Like you were not ready. You were not
so
ready.
bad.
Like we'd be talking about it inside of the group, and like you were just like.
I know. Well, yeah, it's like January 2023, our peer group meeting, and we're talking about exit strategy, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep operating this for 5 more years. It's great.
Oh, 5 more years? Like you had the plan of handing it off to the kids, man. Like the kids are going to run DKB. Like grandchildren are going to be looking up to Papa Keith going, hey, thanks for founding this.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh.
So what was that delineation point for you? Like when did you know, like maybe I should start exploring this, or this was really the thing for you to do?
it became a grind. It went from a lot of fun to a lot of complexity and a lot of stress. And I tell it to people like this is that there's a point in your business that you realize that I'm getting up every morning and I'm playing high stakes poker. And I have millions in enterprise value that ships in front of me. And while this is fun, the stress of it isn't. And there's a point where I kind of looked at myself and I went, dang, like it was kind of a look in the mirror moment. And I went, I'm a pretty good CEO. Dang, I'm a sucky dad and a sucky husband right now. And so I'm losing the game. And I don't want to wake up in 5 years and just be full of regrets because my kids are out of the house and I don't have a relationship with them, and relationship with my wife isn't what it should be. And like, those are the things that matter. And knowing who I am, I'm fanatical and I'm all gas, no brake. And so,
you think the man that takes this call interview session in his hangar outside of his registered airport? No.
Yeah, man, no. I am. And so what that means is that if I need something, if I want to achieve success in something, I will focus on it and I will burn everything down around me to make it successful, including my family. And so I knew that, like, for me, from elevating to chairman or bringing in a bigger leadership team to bring me back work-life balance just wouldn't work because I'm a control freak. And I would have to jump in and control it. And so, like, the only thing that I could do for my family and for myself was to let it go and to exit. And, I knew I did the right thing when we sat down at the dinner table, and I'm like, let me tell you why Daddy's been locked in the office for 14-hour days for the past month, right? All the due diligence. I'm selling DKB, and the response wasn't like, oh, are we rich? Did we get paid? It was the first thing they said was, Dad, does this mean that we'll get to do some really cool dad stuff with you? And I'm like, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Awesome.
And we have, man. The past year and a half has just been an incredible walk and journey with my family. And so it's been really good. That's what started it all.
That's awesome. So looking at the process, like, you're DKB, like, people knew who you were, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I know because of what we were doing inside of our peer group and our relationship, kind of what that process looked like for you. But ultimately, like, how did you land with Evergreen? Why did you, how did you get to that decision, and how did you know that was the right one for you?
So, by the grace of God, I had some wisdom there, having talked with some different buyers and built some relationships. I met Sydney at Evergreen like 3 years before my exit. And I tell people that all the time. It's like, look, even if you're a long ways out, you gotta meet them. Like, I can introduce you to Sydney. You can make introductions to Ben at ITS, and just understanding the different styles and the different options. But yeah, it started with looking at merging some close friends and getting some PE backers.
Oh, who would that be?
Who would that
be? Dude, what did we call that super secret project? Do you remember what it was?
I don't even remember. We had some code names though. It was good.
Dude, I think I rebranded it to Fight Club, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, so yeah, we explored that. And I'll tell you where I ended up is, like, while it may work for some people to become a platform, I looked at it and went, man, everything I know about being a CEO, throw out the door. Do I have the energy to, like, start a new career to be a PE backed MSP and a platform and do acquisitions? And I was like, no. Now, if I'm doing this for my family, that is a horrible option, and I would make a terrible executive because, like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So we threw that out the window, and then we looked at some other great options. We had 3 or 4 buyers at the table. And one of the interesting things was how different the models were. And just seeing that, because you go from a full integration model to what I did with Evergreen, which is a minimal integration where finance is the only thing that's integrated. So for me, I wanted like the legacy I created to continue on, and my team to continue on. And so we picked Evergreen as a low integration option. And I mean, I think just the style wise, like I really clicked with the team. Like there was some chemistry there to go, man, these are genuine people. And I just love hanging out with them. And they're crazy smart, they're crazy humble. And we found that and clicked, and it ended up being a really cool journey, picking Evergreen and marching down that path. And now, fast forward a year and a half, I'm an M&A advisor for them, and I'm working with them, educating MSPs on how to grow enterprise value and just getting to work with a fun team.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's weird, right? Like you look at the people that I've brought on here so far, and it's all, we're all backed by the same organizations. It almost comes across like an ungenuine sales pitch for, the flag where I planted. And, the reality is completely different. Like there's a few really big platforms that are out there and a few really big aggregators that are doing this. And like we'll use our friend Tom as an example, right? Like, we know Tom really well. Hopefully I can bring him on so we can actually hear the story from him. But like he looked at the same decisions, and based on where he was and what he wanted out of life, like he went with Evergreen, and that was the right decision. And, with you, all the things that you wanted for your life and for your family, 100% was definitely not the platform, right? Like, what the hell were we even thinking?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But you know what? One thing it did was it allowed us to really start looking for the differences between buyers. And it's a huge variety. And so I would encourage anyone out there listening, like, have a conversation well before exit with ITS, with Evergreen, with some of these others, just to see what it is that they're looking for. And so them, and to be on their roadmap. Like you want them to know you want to know them, because I promise you, when you decide to sell, like most likely it's going to be similar to me. You're going to go, it's great, and like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to get out. And it's going to be quick, right? It's similar for all of us. And so already having these relationships with buyers just makes it that much better.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Do it early. I don't want to say do it often, but understand what they're looking for. Let them have that deep dive into your business. You're going to learn a lot through that process. You learn what's important to them. Myself, before I went through that journey, myself personally, like I thought I knew what was important, but what I look at and what they're looking at, well, unfortunately, it was two different things, right? So life after transition, we've read a couple books. You and I and Heath and Trent, we're still connected in our probably biweekly, almost bi-monthly calls now at this point for the Exit Club. We read a couple really good books. One of them was recommended to us by a good friend and mentor, Peter Bryden, and it just kind of begs the question, like, what are you doing now post-exit and transition? How's your life different and better besides just having an airport in your backyard, which is pretty freaking cool.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Well, I would say, like, one of my worst fears is just getting bored.
Well, and I think mission accomplished, Keith. You're definitely not bored.
Yeah, I'm not bored. So, after selling the business, sort of like Keith, I made health a priority, because I just treated my body so terribly, not working out, eating terribly. And so, it's funny, our buddy Paul Sponcher, he says, you should get back into dirt bike riding, get a new dirt bike, and we're going to go to Baja and do a 1,200-mile dirt bike ride. And so there's no other kind of accountability for getting yourself in shape, knowing that if you don't prepare for this and work out and get shape, you may die in the Mexican desert. So I got in the gym and got after it, and I lost 30 pounds, and I'm working out 4 days a week. I'm eating right. So, that's been a big journey, and it's also needed for all of my hobbies of snowboarding, snowmobiling. And now, because Trent Peters is such a horrible, terrible friend and influence, I'm like getting a race car because I've done some track days with him. And my son, actually, we're going this weekend because my son's into it too. So it's been a cool father-son thing. We also, we were able to do some really cool philanthropy stuff with the money. And we're doing some work with our church and some missions in Nicaragua and just doing some really cool projects. Also for my family, we bought a place in Breckenridge, and it's really become this special time for us to go as a family and just hang out together. And we see that as generational. And, I can just envision having grandkids there and teaching them to ski and play in the snow and all of that. So it's been something special for my family.
That's awesome. Way better than having the grandkids come into DKB, right?
Yeah, way better. Well, and it's funny. I got in the final year of the business and talking with my kids. They're like, "Yeah, we don't want to. We saw what a strain this was. We don't want to go into IT. We want to do our own thing." And so my oldest that was interning this entire time, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to go into IT. I got to build this business for him. He's going into music, and he just performed in his first jazz band and conducted an orchestra this past weekend. And he's on a fast track for career music, and that's what he's passionate about. So, I was totally wrong on that, and glad I figured that one out. Because they, just like me, where my desire is freedom, and now I have freedom with my time. They need freedom with their careers and be able to explore and do what they want to do in life. And now, I actually have time to support that and help them with it now instead of just being stuck in the office.
So if we don't take anything away from this, let's just take one thing. Your kids do not want to run your MSP.
Yeah, your kids, no. Probably do not.
Definitely not. So kind of looking back, here's a question that everybody gets at the end of this. And I know you're going to be tempted to just give me the default standard answer of no, everything is built for a purpose. But looking back, is there anything that you would have changed or done differently? Understanding you landed in a good spot. Right.
Yeah.
But what could you have done to maybe shortcut that a little bit or take a little less of that sting out?
I think two things really come to mind. One is, looking back on sales, I just would have tripled down on sales. It's like if I could have created this engine, brought the right people along on the ride, and put all that work, and we were very successful in that. What if we did it with 3 more hires? Could we have had triple the results? Well, maybe. And so I would have been a lot more focused on gross margin over net profit with intentional reinvestment in sales. If I had to do all that's what I would do.
That's awesome. So for the people listening at home, what Keith just said was he would have hired me out of the gate, just triple my pay and comp, and would have just been done with it. So,
yeah.
Dude,
so I'll tell you, in meeting you, you scienced sales out. You just made it into a big math problem.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. We picked it apart. We would find out where the problems were. So I wish I had met you and we started working together earlier.
Well, you know what, Keith? This is probably going to be the first time in history where anybody actually admits they would have rather have met me earlier on in life and continued the relationship.
Yeah, and continued the relationship. I got to be nice because rumor is we're going to be on a boat together in Roatan in a few weeks. on
We are.
a dream fishing trip.
Dream fishing,
And so-
Swan Islands out in Honduras. Keith and I think Taylor's going to be joining us. A couple of my good buddies will be captaining and running the boat, and it's going to be wild, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, I got to be nice to you before I'm stuck on a boat with you for like a week.
That is awesome. Well, dude, thank you, Keith, for being my friend. Thank you for being my mentor all these years as well. We talk about the things that I was able to, inspire in you. But the reverse is also true, right? Like peer doesn't work unless it's peer. And there's so many things that I've picked up from you that, eternally I'll be grateful. So everybody out there, like and subscribe to the video. Keith's journey, it's proof that real growth starts with letting go. You got to let go of the fear. You got to let go of your ego, and you got to, maybe he didn't learn all of this, but you got to let go of the need to do it all. So if you're feeling stuck at the helm of your MSP, take a page out of Keith's playbook, right? Grab one or two things that Keith did and just do that. We're not all built to be the CEO that we are today, but we got to continuously invest in ourselves to be the CEO that your MSP needs tomorrow. So thanks for listening to the Founder's Journey. Appreciate you, Keith, being on here today and sharing that story with everybody. Do me a favor, subscribe, leave a comment, share the episode with any other MSP founder that you think that they're ready for that next breakthrough.